Am I the a-hole for kicking my girlfriend out and potentially making her homeless after she came out to me? So I, male 25, have been dating this girl, female 23, for a year and a half. She lost her job due to COVID and didn't have any other place to go, so I asked her to move in with me even though my place is quite small. We've been growing a bit distant during the pandemic because I work long hours as the sole earner and she doesn't get to spend time with me. But my girlfriend has been spending this time with one of her friends, female 26, who happens to be bi. One day I was working an overnight shift and came back to my girlfriend waiting for me looking as if she'd been crying. I asked her what happened, and she told me that she slept with her friend last night while I was at work after having a few too many glasses of wine. She then told me that she's had feelings for girls since high school, but had always repressed them considering them to be abnormal. She then proceeded to tell me that she was now ready to come out of the closet. I had been listening patiently while she finished, despite being freaking furious on the inside. I told her that her coming out was great for her and I wished nothing but the best for her in the future, but she had to get out within the week. She then broke down crying again, saying that she didn't have any place to go and no money to pay rent. So I told her that wasn't my problem, and she needed to start looking. She cried saying she thought I was her friend. Now I got mad and told her, "No, I was your boyfriend before you cheated on me. Now get the hell out and go stay with the friend she cheated on me with." She broke down again and went to the bathroom. I'll be removing her stuff after a week if she isn't out. I can do that. She's not a tenant. Not in the US. Spare me the lawsuit comments. Edit. She called me a bigot from the bathroom, which is why I made this post. And reading the comments made me realize how mad I really am. So she's gonna be out today. Now for the top comments. She cheated and somehow doesn't seem to recognize what that means for you. Because for her, it's so overshadowed by her realizing her own identity. No, you don't have to continue giving her a place to live. She should apologize for cheating too. Not today, Hall. She did apologize for cheating while coming out, but that means jack to me. I don't understand how people come out or want to transition, and their partner knows out because they didn't sign up for that, and then the person gets angry and mad at them for noping and says all kinds of nasty stuff about them or calling them names. No one has to do that if the relationship is no longer what either one wants or is comfortable with. Not today, Hall. I never understand why people expect sympathy for coming out after they cheat on their partner. Should have figured those feelings out before she wasted your time. Such a horrible thing to do to anyone. But even crappier considering you've fed and sheltered her in her time of need. You're better than me because I would have kicked her out as soon as she confessed. I may not be that much better. I'm seriously considering it. You told her to go to her friend's place. Why isn't she packing up and doing that? Her friend doesn't have a place to share. She lives in a youth hostel. Not day, Hall. She cheated on you. Period. You don't get to pass on cheating just because you're coming out. That doesn't make the partner feel any better or make it okay. She's a cheater, and you were being more than considerate giving her a week despite her leading you on, lying to you, throughout your relationship and cheating on you. I'm thinking of making that tonight after she called me a bigot from the bathroom. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for telling the truth and exposing a web of lies my wife spun? My wife has been lying a lot lately. She is overly conscious of people's feelings, and she uses white lies to shift the blame onto others to lessen the blow of a situation, always to her benefit. She will find herself in situations where she wants to back out of weekend plans with her friends, or explain why she did something seemingly rude, etc. But she always blames me. My husband doesn't want me to leave this weekend, sorry, such an A. Or, I only screenshotted this conversation we had because my husband told me he wanted to see it. Sure, I can handle someone confronting me about that stuff far better than she can, as she has high anxiety when it comes to confrontation. But I'm really sick of being her scapegoat and letting people think I'm a selfish jerk. I was watching our kids this weekend while my wife hosted a bachelorette trip for her friend at my wife's aunt's lake house. Then last night, my wife calls me and says I can come over with the kids, rather than wait till early this morning like planned. I get to the lake house, and the girls are all still out at a bar somewhere. So I let myself in and put the kids to bed. Then my wife's aunt texts her after seeing me on her security camera and tells me she is upset that I was there. That's weird to me because she and I get along very well, and I'm even renting a house from her. She has really high anxiety, but she manages it well most of the time. She then texted me this morning and begins berating me about how I had no right to invite myself over and that I'm a bad father. Naturally, I was shocked and asked her what she meant. Turns out, my wife texted her saying she didn't know I was coming and that I'm an incompetent father and she had to help me because I didn't know how to watch my own kids. I told her that that was not true and that my wife invited me to come because she knew it was closer to my work and I could sleep in rather than get up early to bring the kids. I, of course, confronted my wife about why she would lie about me and say things like that about me. She then gets mad and says she was doing damage control on the situation and that it's far better if her aunt is mad at me than her. So now we're fighting because I, of course, don't appreciate being put in that situation, but my wife thinks it was a necessary sacrifice to keep her aunt happy with her. Not today, Hall. Hold up. You need a big wake-up call. Those are not white lies. This is not a small issue to be mulling over in AITA to blow off steam before returning to the status quo in your real life. Your wife badmouths and undermines you to seemingly everyone who matters in her life, to the point where they think you are a terrible father and husband. This is nefarious, dangerous, and outright inexcusable. It has already gotten to the point where she is way past believing her own lies, and the foundation is set where everyone in your mutual support network is against you. But how can you blame her family for being so ferociously against you, when it has been established that you are consistently behaving like a monster for months now? You could literally be one bad panic lie away from losing your kids or getting arrested for abuse. Look out for yourself. Think of your kids. Even for her to stop this now is not enough. This web of venomous lies needs to be reversed and burned to the root. Yes, that is a huge lie, not a white lie. She completely lied to everyone to get you in trouble. That is awful. She set you up for some reason. I think she's trying to find a way out of the relationship. She uses white lies to shift the blame onto others. That's not a white lie. That's just a lie. Not today, Hall. What are you doing in this relationship? It just started recently. At least I think it did. I've only just started to catch her doing it. Plus we have kids, so leaving is much harder. But I love her, of course. Not today, Hall. If this just started recently, you should be concerned that she is making an exit plan. Painting you as controlling and incompetent with your children may cost you custody and even significant visitation. Holy crap. I'm not sure therapy would even help, to be honest. She just sounds like an overall crappy, toxic person, and you need to get yourself and your poor kids away from her. I mean, damn, that's just messed up. Not today, Hall, but your wife sure is. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my boyfriend I can't afford to feed his kids right now? I really need the unbiased opinion of internet strangers that accept any adult judgment. For context, my boyfriend 36 male and my son Didai 36 female live together, and for the moment, I'm the main breadwinner. Boyfriend pays his portion of the rent and then I pay for everything else. Food, utilities, my portion of the rent, fuel, basically everything else. And I have to budget like crazy to cover everything. I don't have a great salary, but better than his. He's working and bettering his situation, and I support us with an open heart. No resentment and no expectations on repayment. He has 2 kids from a previous relationship that visit us semi-regularly when he's off work. So on to the issue. Last week, he kind of sprung it on me that his kids were coming to stay the night. I asked him nicely to let me know a bit sooner next time so that I could work my money situation. I reworked some things to feed all of us, and everything is good. I made a load of pancakes. Then yesterday, he tells me they are coming again. I think that his ex is asking, and I ask if it's after I get paid. He says no, it's not. So I say as gently as I can that it's the end of the month, and I can't really afford 2 extra mouths right now, and I'm having to borrow to make ends meet for the week as it is. He blows up. Says he doesn't see his kids, and it's not my responsibility and he'll sell his car for money if he has to. I love him and I love his kids, but the reality of the situation is that I can literally not feed them 2 right now. I know it's just 2 kids and a few extra meals, but it's the reality of our situation, and one of the kids is a preteen that eats more than I do some days, and that's okay. Please bear in mind that boyfriend has no money at all for extra anything. Am I the a-hole for saying I'm not able to accommodate his kids right now? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. You can't spend money you don't have. Pretty much sums up how I feel about it. There are no bad feelings towards anyone here, just facts. I can see why he'd feel angry and frustrated, just not angry and frustrated at you. This whole situation sucks. Nobody should be in this financial position. But it sounds to me like you're doing your best to help out when you can. I hope he realizes this once he's not feeling quite so immediately frustrated and disappointed. Not the a-hole. Quick question. If he acknowledges that they're not your responsibility, exactly why is he mad? It just seems like he and the children's mother want to bum off of you, / dump their kids in your lap whenever they want with no lip from you. That's not the kid's fault, but it's not your problem either. Worry about you and your baby. Budget for you and your baby. He's a grown man. What exactly does he budget for? You should seriously rethink whether or not you want the rest of your life to look like this. I don't think your boyfriend actually wants things to change. He seems just fine spring stuff on you, like you don't have enough to deal with by yourself. By the way, does he ever help you with your kid, or is he just piling things onto you with no help whatsoever, even when he doesn't have his kids? Pretty much everything is just up to me to figure out. He would be willing to help me with my kid, but my kid is mine and his dad's responsibility and I don't ask unless I have no other options. He has just finished his studies and is job hunting for the new field at the moment. He used to pay child support before he got the crappy job he has now. His car is also not working, so I take him to work and stuff. Why are you supporting him more than he's supporting you? He is dragging you down, and it sounds like he's making your life miserable. Can you get a new apartment without him? Last story is titled, Am I the a-hole for giving my wife tough love about her weight gain? My wife has gained 100 pounds since we met. At the beginning of our relationship, we bonded over fitness, went to the gym together several times a week, and she was in great shape. She's 5'3" and went from 115 pounds to 215 plus. Most of her weight gain happening in the last 2 years since her father and sister both passed away, and she has been dealing with her grief and depression from that. I understand what she's been going through, but the toll it's taking on her is hard to watch. Her weight gain reached a breaking point for me a few months ago, and I just couldn't bite my tongue anymore. It was like the elephant in the room topic that we never talked about before, even though it was obvious she's been gaining weight. But I finally had to say something. It's much more than just about her appearance, but her health. We used to work out together, go hiking, swimming, etc., and no longer do any of that. So it's affecting our marriage in more ways than one. When I brought it up, I said I was concerned for her and felt I needed to say something. She broke down crying, saying she hasn't felt or looked like herself in years, and blamed it mainly on her grief from her dad and sister passing away. I told her I understand that, but she needs to prioritize both her physical and mental health and learn a better way to cope. She agreed to start grief counseling to start working through all this, and hopefully turn her health around. I felt like we had a good conversation, and it seemed like we were on the same page. But days later, she had vented to either her mom or best friend about what we talked about, and she approached me about it again, and said after talking about it with them, she realizes how unfair and harsh I was being and that she feels disrespected. I don't think I was being harsh at all, but approached her with love and support. I know weight is a sensitive issue, but how long was I supposed to ignore it for? It's been 4 days and she hasn't spoken to me since then because she said I need to apologize, but I don't think I need to. Am I the a-hole? You're the a-hole. Her weight gain reached a breaking point? Her intense grief and depression didn't concern you, but you reached a breaking point over her weight gain. How long were you supposed to ignore it? Forever, because you should have been more concerned about her depression, not her weight. Edit. Other reasons came to light through this. Your wife had a baby 6 months ago and is struggling with PPD on top of her other grief and depression about her family. You are home barely 5 days a week, and those are overnights, meaning your wife has the sole responsibility for your baby who since is 6 months old, most likely up a couple times a night. So your maybe 3 hours of active time being home, your wife must probably choose between a laundry list of things to do while she has your home, such as getting some sleep, spending time as a family, taking some time for her, and the like. You again said your breaking point was a couple months ago, so when she was, 4 months postpartum? Her weight should literally be so far off your mind right now it should be in outer space. OP, you should probably edit your post to add in all of the information about your wife without the vague, she's drastically gained weight. She went through 2 major traumas and a pregnancy. and now only has her husband home 3 hours a day, but somehow still has time to work out several times a week. Yes, you are doing it for the good of your family, but that takes nothing away from the fact that she's parenting alone while dealing with a severe grief, stress, and depression. And in all of that, you broached the subject by talking about her weight? You may not mean to be an a-hole. You might be a genuinely concerned husband who just don't understand, but my God, you're the a-hole. Not to mention that for the last year and a half, there had been a global pandemic. I can't begin to imagine the many added layers of stress the isolation and lack of normal support network not available during this time must have added to coping with her grief, pregnancy, and birth of her first child. You're the a-hole. You're the a-hole. Edited to add that Opie didn't bother to mention she's also postpartum with a 6-month-old baby and is only home 3 hours a day. Your wife has suffered 2 huge losses, is obviously grieving and suffering depression, and thusly you think reducing her self-esteem is a great idea. You may want to seriously ask yourself whether you're doing anything verbally or emotionally to contribute to her depression and binging. Overeating can be an emotional reaction for many who turn to food to fulfill something that is missing or to cope with harsh criticism. You seem to think grief has a time limit as well. You claim to care about her health and mental status, but you've clearly caused her pain. You're more concerned with being right than her obvious distress. You went into the conversation not referencing concern for her depression or grief, but her weight. Sounds like you wouldn't care about either if she pursued grief counseling should she still weigh 115 pounds. It took 2 years to care, and only because her weight bothered you? So yes, you're the a-hole. More, I'd like to tell her to drop the real dead weight. You.